Sairam children, welcome back to our science class. So in the last video you must have enjoyed the activity which we did. And in today's video also I'm going to show you some activity. It's very interesting. So after watching this video, that is the activity which I'm going to show you now, and you're going to try at home. It is very simple, and so that if you do at home you will understand in a better way. So before we go to that activity, before we start the activity, let us understand what is that activity about. So we are going to learn about the solutions. So our today's video is about solutions. So what is called solutions? So you will understand as we proceed to the lesson. Now, to understand what is solution, we are going to do some activity. So the materials required for that activity is, you will need glass, 3 glasses, some water, and a spoon for stirring, and sugar solution, sugar, salt, and some sand. So you are going to keep all these things ready. Sugar, salt, sand. Little, very little. And you're going to take 3 glasses and a spoon. Now we are going to make the solutions. So you will take the glass and add some water in that glass. And first you will take some sugar and add it in that water. And start stirring. Stirring means mixing. Mixing the sugar and the water. So what will happen now? So you can notice that the sugar slowly disappears. Yes, the sugar which is disappears in the water, it tastes very sweet. So have you tasted the sugar water? Yes, when we mix the sugar in the water, and that water tastes very sweet. So when the sugar slowly disappears, we say that sugar has dissolved in water. You will not say disappears in water. So you will say the sugar has dissolved in water. So the water with the dissolved sugar tastes very sweet. And this sweet water is called the solution of sugar in water. So solution means any liquid. Any liquid. So when we add the sugar in that water, it becomes a sugar solution because that water tastes very sweet. So, and the sugar is called the solute. The water that dissolves the solute is called the solvent. So what we are going what we will learn from this activity, what is called solution, solute and solvent. So solution means when we dissolve something in the water, it gets dissolved and it becomes a solution. So if you add sugar, it becomes a sugar solution. If you add salt, it becomes a salty solution. And whatever you add, it becomes that solution. And solute means the substance which we are going to add, that is sugar, salt, etc., etc. So the substance which we are going to add in that water, that is called the solute. And the water that dissolves in the solute is called the solvent. Now children, now we learned about the sugar solution. And the next one is salt. So you will take another glass of water and now you are going to add the salt, right? And what you will do? Yes, we are going to take the spoon and we are going to stir it. So stir means mixing. We are going to stir till the salt disappears. Till the salt disappears. So the salt dissolves in water or does not dissolve in water? Yes, when we see the experiment, when we do the activity, you can see the salt dissolves or does not dissolves. But you must have seen your mom adding salt in the food while she's preparing. So does it dissolve? Yes, salt dissolves in water to form a. So what is the taste of that water? Yes, it will be very salty. So similarly, salt also dissolves in water to form a solution that tastes salty. So got it, children? So what is the solute here? Salt is the solute. And what solution? Salty solution. So what is a solvent? The water that dissolves the solute is called the solvent. So now let's see the difference between soluble substances and the insoluble substances. Now, what is called insoluble substances? Yes, let me explain you. So we have one more glass left and the sand has left. Yes, now we will take the glass and similarly add the water, and now which substance you will add? The salt. So add the, I'm so sorry, it's not the salt. What is remaining? Yes, it's the sand. So take the sand and add it in the water. And what you will do now? You will start stirring. You will start stirring. And what can you observe? Just imagine if you add sand in the water, what happens? What can we observe? Yes, the sand does not dissolve in water. The sand does not disappear in water. So children, the substance which does not disappears or dissolves in water, it is called insoluble substances. Got it? Yes. So now let's see the difference between soluble substances and the insoluble substances. So the first point, solids that dissolve completely in water are called soluble substances. And here are the side insoluble substances. Solids that do not dissolve in water are called insoluble substances. The first point is solids that dissolve. And here that does not dissolve. Okay. Then example is sugar and salt are soluble substances. And here the sand is the insoluble substances. So this is the difference between the soluble substances and the insoluble substances. And yes. So again, we'll take a glass of water and let us add the sugar again and keep on stirring. So when you add something in the water, does the volume of the water raise? No, it remains the same. So to study about this, we have to do this experiment again. That is to study the volume of a solution. Volume means in a glass of water, if you add the stone, if you drop the stone in that, the volume of the water raises. The volume of the water raises means the height it becomes raises, the water comes up. But if you add the sugar, the volume remains the same. So that is what we are going to learn. So for this, to study the volume of a solution, we require water in a glass, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and method. And first, you are going to mark the level of water in the glass. So glass, you just mark the level in it and add the sugar. And now check the level of water. The level of water in the glass remains same because we have already studied that in the liquid the molecules are packed very loosely. That is, the molecules, they are not packed very closely. So you can see in the first picture the molecules, we have a lot of spaces in between them. So in between the molecules, there are spaces. So when we add the sugar in this liquid, in these molecules, so the sugar dissolves in water and the sugar molecules fill those empty spaces. So there is no increase in the volume of water since the sugar gets dissolved in the liquid and the molecules in the liquid are not packed closely. So the sugar occupies all the empty spaces. That is why the volume of the water remains same. So you can try this experiment at home also with the help of your parents. And now the sugar completely dissolves in water after some time. Now let us again continue this experiment. That is, we are going to add more sugar in the same solution. Now first we added the little sugar. Now it has disappeared. Now again we are going to add more sugar in the same solution. Now you can find that after some time the sugar stops dissolving. But what happens to the sugar? All of a sudden it stopped dissolving. So what might be the reason? Yes, the reason is the remaining sugar settles at the bottom of the glass without dissolving. The reason is the sugar has already occupied. First, when we added the sugar, it has completely dissolved in water, which means that it has already occupied the empty spaces in the liquid. Now, when we again add the sugar, there is no empty space in that molecules in that water. In the liquid, the molecules does not have any empty spaces. So yes, So when all the empty spaces between the water molecules are filled with sugar molecules, so no more sugar can dissolve in the water. And such a solution is called the saturated solution. So understood what is saturated solution? Yes. So when you do this experiment, try this experiment at home, you will easily understand. Now let us watch this activity, how it is done. Now let us see the materials required. This is sugar. I hope you all know what is sugar. And this is salt. This one is sand. And we require 3 spoons and 3 glasses. So we require these 3: sugar, salt and sand, 3 spoons and 3 glasses. Now let's start the activity. Now water in all the 3 glasses. Now let's add this sugar in the first glass. So now we have added sugar in the water. Now what you have to do is stir the water. So can you see how I am stirring the water? So after adding the water in a glass, you have to add the sugar and stir it. Now you can see the sugar is slowly it gets disappeared. Yes, it slowly gets disappeared. So it disappears in the water. Now that sugar has become so tiny and finally it disappears in the water. Now the water with the dissolved sugar tastes sweet. Now this plain water, it tastes very sweet because we have added the sugar. This sweet water is called a solution. So understood what is called solution? So when we add something and if that gets dissolved in water, so that water becomes a solution of sugar in water. Now this sugar is called a solute. This sugar is called the solute. And the water that dissolves the solute is called the solvent. Now we read what is solution, solute and solvent. Similarly, now we are going to add this salt in the next glass. And take another spoon and start stirring. So now what happens? Salt dissolves in water to form a solution. And this solution tastes salty. So this solution tastes salty. It is because we added salt in the water. Now try to dissolve the sand which we have taken. So add it in the third glass, and in the same way start stirring. So does it dissolve? No, the sand does not dissolve in water because all solids do not dissolve in water. So the children, solids that dissolve completely in water, they are called as soluble substances. So sugar and salt are soluble substances, and solids that do not dissolve in water like sand, they are called as insoluble substances. So sand is an insoluble substance. Now children, we have learnt that in a liquid, the molecules are not packed very close to each other. The molecules are not close together. Matlab means they have the space in between them. That is liquid. Liquid molecules have space in them. And now when the sugar is added in the water, that is when the sugar dissolves in water, the sugar molecules, now this is the sugar we have added in the liquid. Now when the sugar dissolves in water, the sugar molecules fill these empty spaces. So the sugar molecules fills these empty spaces. That is why the sugar is able to dissolve in water, and there is no increase in the volume of water. So when we add the sugar in the water does not get increases. So there are so much space in the water, in the liquid. So when we add that sugar, it fills that space. So this is how it looks. So sugar molecules fills up the empty spaces. Now children, let us learn what is called a saturated solutions. So you know what is a solution? Now, can you see some sugar is not dissolved in water? Yes, we can see the sugar in the water which is not yet dissolved. So do you know why it has not dissolved? So it has stopped dissolving now. This is because all the empty spaces between the water and water molecules are now filled with sugar molecules. So there is no space in the liquid. So no more sugar can dissolve in water. So if you add little more water and then if you stir, it will dissolve because it gets more space. Now this liquid does not have space. So that is why the sugar has stopped dissolving. So such a solution is called a saturated solution. So children, I hope you enjoyed the activity and understood what is done. So do try at home and understand how it gets dissolved in water and which substances are dissolving in water and which does not dissolve in water. So let us revise the full chapter in the next video, and I'll be giving you some notes along with that. So until then, stay safe. Bye bye children.